Yo, I don't care about this girl. I have another girlfriend. He just sit there and lied and said,
them words never left my lips.
Yes, they did. I was standing right there. You said they're adults, let them sleep together if they want to sleep together.
As my brother, you should have known that. You could do it.
That is not
Everything I
the
did.
truth.
Ms. Hilburn claimed to be caught in a love triangle, and the result of that ended with her giving birth to her 10-month-old daughter. The defendant, Mr. Barnes, claimed he caught her with another man on Valentine's Day and is determined to prove he is not the father of the child. Whoa! Spicy! This was how the case began.
Admit that you've been caught up in a love triangle for the past 3 years, which you say resulted in the birth of your 10-month-old daughter, Saray. But you're here to prove she is the defendant's baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Barnes seems like a really good dad. Being there for everything just makes you want to have him as a dad. Now, how did it all go wrong with this sweet dad and Ms. Hilburn? Well, this was the next mind-blowing thing that came out of Mr. Barnes' mouth.
I couldn't be because she is still legally married, so I was not able to be put on her.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting you to say that, so she's still legally married to someone else.
And I would want more than anything to actually be her father. Because I was there, I've put the time, the commitment, the love. She's my daughter for all I know.
Wow! Let's just say Ms. Hilburn has been one busy woman, jumping from one man to the next. Now I understand why she calls it a love triangle. Here's where things get even more complicated. Mr. Hilburn had no idea she was sleeping with another man.
Your Honor, it was always done while I was at work, so I had no idea. So the night before Valentine's Day, which is the first time it happened, I was at work. She said she's going to her friends. Okay, fine, go ahead. I get home, I try texting her, try calling her, no response. So whatever, I go to sleep. The next day, Miss Hilburn and the other gentlemen come back to the house. They're brought by the people that they stayed with.
Wait, what? They were all living together? At this point, one can only ask if the situation is going to get any messier than this. Seeing that it's one hell of a mess, Judge Lauren decides to ask Ms. Hilburn how they got themselves into such a messy situation. Well, this is what she had to say about that.
Are you sleeping with both of them while you live in the house with both of them, Miss Hilburn?
Yes, I was.
So, I'm not trying to give anyone tips, but how did you pull that off? How?
He would go to work. As soon as he left, me and the other guy would have sex.
Wow. Did both guys know you were with the other one?
Damn, that has to hurt. I can't believe she just said that to Mr. Barnes's face. I wonder what kind of lies she was feeding him. Oh well, that was not the craziest thing about this situation. They are both still sleeping with each other. To make things even more insane, she's pregnant with the other guy she was sleeping with.
Mr. Barnes, are you still intimate with Miss Hilburn?
Yes, ma'am, but we use condoms.
Miss Hilburn, are you also still with the other guy?
Yes, and 5 months after this baby was born, I became pregnant again.
Oh, so you're pregnant now?
Yes, 7 months.
You're pregnant right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know who this child's father is?
Even Judge Lauren is out of words because what the hell is going on? She doesn't even know who the father of her unborn child could be. Wow. Now, when Ms. Hilburn found out she was pregnant, she claimed she told Mr. Barnes first, and this was how he reacted.
I told Mr. Barnes first. He said that he wanted to see the proof because there had been other times that I lied to him about being pregnant. So I took the paper to him and showed that I was pregnant, and he was happy because he wanted to be a father.
Okay, so even though she lied before about being pregnant,
Yeah, I saw the proof this time.
you saw the proof,
so I was happy.
and you were happy.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, you can see it on his face. Mr. Barnes's heart is broken beyond repair. What even hurts him the most is the fact that he loves the child so much. He goes on to tell the judge how devastating it would be if the results revealed that he was not the biological father of the child.
It wouldn't devastate me. I was there from day one. You know, the fact that she might not be mine, it hurts.
And I regret it. I really do.
Miss Hilburn, there's a part of me that wants to believe you regret it, and yet you find yourself in the exact same situation again. I don't know how much more difficult a life lesson has to be.
Another blow to his heart. The poor man would wish he had never met Ms. Hilburn in his entire life, but things take another wild turn in the courtroom. Apparently, Mr. Barnes has a girlfriend with whom he claims to also be in love. Trust me, this is the craziest case ever.
And Mr. Barnes, his girlfriend, the guy you're sleeping with, that's all the players.
Yes.
So, Mr. Barnes, you got a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
Does she know about this relationship?
No, she suspects, but when you don't see your girlfriend for 7 months, you don't see her, what else are you supposed to do?
Hold on now.
I think we've seen enough of this crazy couple. It just keeps going from bad to the absolute worst. Anyway, the results are in. It is time to see if Mr. Barnes is going to end up as the father of the child.
Mr. Barnes, you are not Saray's father. Mr. Barnes, you are not the father.
Still not going to change anything for the fact of Saray. So, I mean, just going to keep on going how we have been.
Ms. Hadnot here is completely convinced that Mr. Matthews' wife is the reason why he's denying the paternity of her child. She also says that Ms. Matthews was once her best friend, but once she told her that Mr. Matthews had impregnated her, she also went ahead and got pregnant by Mr. Matthew and then married him. They opened their case like this.
Mr. Matthews, you claim you have doubts about being the biological father of Ms. Hadnot's son because you say she has a reputation for sleeping around.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you state that you and your wife hope to put an end to your connection with her when today's results are revealed.
Yes.
Then Mr. Matthews confirms that he had a sexual relationship with Ms. Hadnot. He then says that he and his wife were best friends before that. But Ms. Hadnot doesn't agree with this version of events at all.
You first had an intimate relationship with Ms. Hadnot.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you started one with Ms. Matthews,
Well, me and
her best friend.
we've been me and my wife been best friends before that.
Your
She
Honor, he
knew.
said they was cousins. Ma'am, both of them.
Wait a minute, they told you they were cousins?
Yes.
This seems to support Miss Hadnot's point. She was in a relationship with Mr. Matthews, got pregnant by him, and then Ms. Matthews got into the picture. That's the problem here. Can you imagine how betrayed Ms. Hadnot must have felt when she found out that her best friend was having a baby by her baby daddy?
Understand the circumstances surrounding you when you found out you were pregnant.
I found out
And you
I was pregnant,
immediately
yes.
knew it was Mr. Matthews?
No.
Okay,
All
tell
right.
me what happened.
I slept with somebody else around the time that I slept with James, that I could see my son. I slept with another dude. I can admit that. But I also, when James never asked me.
how many days apart did you sleep with this other man?
Oh well, Ms. Hadnot. It looks like it's scientifically impossible to be sure of who the father of this child is. But Ms. Hadnot doesn't want to accept this. She says she knows who she slept with and is certain the father of her child is Mr. Matthews.
It's been times where she, can you take me here? Can you take? It's always been about money, finances. She's a gold digger.
So you not only felt like she could have, well, she did sleep with the guy she admits to, you said could be some other people too that she's not admitting to.
Well, if she didn't tell me about that, what else secrets are under the closet? Straight to the point, I want to know if this son is my son.
What is that doubt based on?
From her mother calling me at the,
Okay then, Mr. Matthews. You're a straight shooter. I like that. Mr. Matthews also says that he doubts he's the child's father because he was only called to the hospital after the baby had been born. And not only was he called after the birth, but Ms. Hadnot didn't call him herself.
Oh,
Tell
babe,
me you had slept with another
You didn't
man.
ask.
I'm supposed to know.
You was a one-night stand, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
And Terry knew the whole time her dang self.
I knew that she was pregnant because, like I said, we were friends. And when she got pregnant, she came and she told me that she was pregnant. I made the mistake and that I was wrong in the beginning for sleeping with Jane. I didn't intend to fall in love, have a baby.
Mrs. Matthews, do you know how unlikely and impossible it is to sleep with someone without protection, mistakenly get pregnant, mistakenly having that baby, and then mistakenly marry them? There's no way you didn't mean that. Nobody can make that many mistakes at a stretch. You meant it, and you did it, and now we are here to deal with it.
Baby and marry James. That was not my intention at all, and to hurt my best friend.
Yeah, but she has all this going on, and she was my everything. Terry was my heart. I was there for Terry through all her stuff.
And
no
I was
matter
there for
what.
her.
Her grandma, through everything, with her grandpa, all that, I was there for Terry.
Yes, she was.
And she was there for me, but she betrayed me. So what type of friend is that?
Ms. Terry Matthews is the sort of friend you never want to have. She might wake up one day and mistakenly set your house on fire, and then come to court and say it was all an innocent mistake and that she didn't mean to pour gasoline on your roof. That's the sort of thing she might say.
So, Ms. Hadnot, your best friend comes to you and says, I'm pregnant by the same guy too? What did you think?
To tell you the truth, Your Honor, and I told her straight up, you know what? You can have that, because I never wanted him.
So what was the big deal in the first place? You never wanted me. You pushed me
It
away.
don't matter.
since
That
high
was my
school.
best friend. You made me lose my best friend
I
because
didn't
of you.
do nothing.
Mr. Matthews is just acting obtuse here. Does he really think that Ms. Matthews and Ms. Hadnot were going to remain best friends after he got them both pregnant? How would that even work? Now, to make things worse, Ms. Matthews tells Mr. Matthews that Ms. Hadnot's baby might not be his.
Denied or said that Jamari was not James' son. I get on James when he get into his feelings about his doubt. And I'll get to saying, James, let's go get Jamari. Let's do this and let's do that. I push that. I'm the one that goes to the door, picks up Jamari, and does that stuff.
To do it.
I've never done.
And come tell me himself.
Well,
it shouldn't have to go through Terry.
Horrible behavior from Mr. Matthews. And it gets worse because the 4-year-old in question is old enough to ask serious questions about his father.
Why my daddy wanted a DNA test for me? That doesn't make sense.
Well, obviously,
he's an innocent child. He didn't do nothing to James or to Terry.
You grew up without your
I didn't
father.
have my father at all while I was growing up, at all, or my mother. So I don't want my son to not have his father. He's supposed to have both of his parents. We need to learn how to get along.
That's right. There's no reason an innocent child should be suffering because of the mistakes adults make. At this point, you sort of feel sorry for Ms. Hadnot and may think that the child is Mr. Matthews' biological son. Anyway, it's time to see what the DNA results say about all of this.
Mr. Matthews, you are the father.
Thank you. I told you. I hate you. I promise.
Okay, you can hate
I'm
me.
done. I don't want my son to be around you.
Hold on.
Do you know that feeling when your best friend goes running to your boyfriend to tell them all about your different escapades with other men? Well, Ms. Stremke knows that feeling very well. Her friend told her partner, Mr. Jaramillo, about her different attempts with other men, and now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this.
Claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Miss Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Stremke, why is your family falling apart?
Your Honor, I feel like my family is falling apart because my daughters are basically growing up how I had to. We didn't have both parents.
That's right, Ms. Stremke children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
Doesn't feel that those are his kids.
You know, when you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up where I had slept with another man. And this is before me and Mr. Jaramillo had gotten together. But it was very, very shortly after that we got together. And it was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Mrs. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you know. You'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke has been impregnated with wasn't mine, that she had been sleeping with numerous males.
How long
for
had you
me.
been together at that point?
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
That was about the time that the other males were present.
I was
Then,
upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had
you
gotten
said
together.
one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
But Naviana is 4 years old. Did you ever attempt to have a paternity test back then?
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
It's like, okay, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore. And that's when we ended up deciding to like spice up our sex life and everything. And we ended up having a female-female threesome with him. So he got to pick another woman. And it was what it was. We did it. And then it was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male, and you.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
Sir?
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot. So to get it done and over with, yeah, I did bring this friend of mine.
And so you all had sex, did the friend use protection?
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie. Get on a jet and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good.
You look so relieved.
I am.
And I hope you all understand now that you have this clarity,
Ms. Nadeau is the sort of woman you don't want to know or meet. She slept with her partner's best friend and then told him about the affair on Christmas Eve. The affair was bad enough, but what made it worse was the revelation that the best friend in question, Mr. Zara, may be the father of 2-year-old Cameron. The case began like this.
Ms. Nadeau, you confess you are caught in the middle of 2 lifelong best friends because you slept with them both and now have no idea which is 2-year-old Cameron's biological father. Now, Mr. Santilli, you admit she'd slept with your best friend.
Ms. Nadeau's betrayal completely shatters Mr. Santilli, and you start to feel pity for him. But as strange as it might be, Ms. Nadeau might have a good explanation for betraying her boyfriend that way. You see, Mr. Santilli had broken up with her, saying that she was too good for him.
Continue to go and see his grandfather while he's in the nursing home getting sicker, starting to pass away. The day he passed away was the day his best friend told me that really he had broken up with me for the girl upstairs.
And so this is the best friend you ended up sleeping with?
Yes.
So how did that happen?
The day that he passed away, I was holding his hand.
And you guessed it, it was this best friend, Mr. Zara, that Ms. Nadeau eventually slept with. The crazy thing is that Mr. Santilli had no idea of this at the time, and Ms. Nadeau slept with Mr. Zara on the very day Mr. Santilli's grandfather passed away.
You don't really know who the father is.
No, I can't say.
You know, I always thought there was a code that, you know, if you have a best friend, they don't sleep with your girl or any girl you dated. Look, unless it's been years or you get prior approval.
We are 2 consenting adults.
Generally speaking, you should not sleep with your best friend's girlfriend or any girl they've been in a relationship with. But somehow, Mr. Zara and Ms. Nadeau forgot all about that. Ms. Nadeau says 2 consenting adults can do whatever they want, and this happens next.
Well, you're definitely 2 consenting adults.
When I
But I'm saying, is there any part of you that said he just lost a person that meant everything to him?
No,
I'm his
because
ex. Maybe sleeping with his best friend wouldn't be the best idea?
Absolutely not. Because if I mattered so much to him and it was so important, he wouldn't have left for the girl upstairs.
But again, Ms. Nadeau makes a solid point. If she were so important to him, he wouldn't have left her. Anyway, consenting adults do what they have to do. And now all 3 of them are in court to get this sorted once and for all. Let's hear a bit from Mr. Zara, the best friend in question.
He told me specifically in his house, yo, I don't care about this girl. I have another girlfriend. He just sit there and lied.
You said they're adults, let them sleep together if they want to sleep together.
You were my brother, kid. You should have known better regardless.
So hold on.
16 years I've known you.
Well,
16 years.
Not
I didn't break up with her like, oh my, at first. Because at first.
Hold up! Hold up! Known better? Okay, yeah, maybe Mr. Zara should have known better. I'm willing to concede that. But do you know who else should have known better? Mr. Santilli for breaking up with his girlfriend for a random girl. That's who should have known better. And if he had known better, maybe none of them would be in paternity court.
Mr. Santilli, let me ask you this. When you found out Ms. Nadeau was pregnant?
At first, I did not believe the child was mine. No, I denied it to the fullest, yes.
Okay, glad
at
you
first.
admitted it.
Did you know she
No, I
had
did not
already
know.
slept
I did not know
with
that
Mr.
they were sleeping
Zara?
together.
hold
They
on.
both
He
denied
asked
it.
me at his house. He said, yo, bro, Kayla just told me that you had sex with her. And the only reason why I denied it to him was because his grandfather was sick. That was so he sits here and says he had no idea.
Hold on. How did you?
It's getting really aggressive here. Mr. Santilli says he didn't know the child could belong to Mr. Zara until 2 years later. But Ms. Nadeau denies this and says that even when he was cutting the umbilical cord, Mr. Santilli knew that the baby might not be his.
When he was first born, everybody said he looked just like Dino, but I wasn't too sure. I just kind of kept my mouth shut because I thought, you know, maybe it's my guilt. I thought it was just me who thought he looked like Tom. And the more people that came out the woodwork, the more people would tell me, you know, he doesn't really look like Dino anymore. He doesn't really look like Dino anymore. And the older he got, the more and more he looked like Tom.
This is getting a lot more complicated than it was at the beginning. Ms. Nadeau today thinks that Mr. Zara is the likely father of the child because she claims the baby looks a lot like him and even behaves like him. That's all well and good, but it's not a DNA test.
We had this discussion weeks before Christmas Eve.
Hold on, that is the truth.
She didn't just say he's not yours. She said it ruthlessly. She said, how do you feel you're holding your best friend's kid, you loser? Which is why I snapped, which is what led to my incarceration.
That is not what I said.
That's exactly what she said.
Thank you.
Right there.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Nadeau, now that's just too much. However, Ms. Nadeau defends this by saying she's a single mother who can do whatever she wants. That's one of the coldest things I've ever seen on paternity court. Anyway, things went south, and Mr. Zara started taking up fatherly responsibilities for Cameron.
Are the exact types of consequences that paternity issues cause. This is it. So, Ms. Nadeau, right now, who are you with? Is Cameron your only child?
No.
They have another baby together, too.
We have a daughter together.
Which we?
Me and Mr. Zara, and I have another son.
Not only did Mr. Zara sleep with his best friend's ex-girlfriend, but he also made sure she got pregnant for him, specifically after knowing the sort of mess he was in with Cameron and his best friend. You know what? Doing that takes the sort of arrogance that you hardly find amongst people today.
What is going on with you? What happened that would lead you to be in this position?
I don't know. It's a disaster. I truly believe Cameron's Tom's. And the only reason I even want to do this is because I just need everybody to move on and let the past be the past. Dino shouldn't be responsible for a child that's not his.
Yes, it's a disaster. The only thing that can save this disaster is to find out who Cameron's birth father is. Is it Mr. Santilli or Mr. Zara?
Cameron's biological father is Mr. Santilli. Mr. Santilli, tears of joy, relief, you don't know? Jerome, maybe help her into the seat if she's not feeling well. Are you okay, sweetie? You want to sit down?